we see things on Twitter and on social media and on Facebook, and you hear what people back home think of people in the diaspora. You know, Vachitawa Sama, they think we don't love our country. They think this, you know. So in my mind, I was like, but that's not true.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh, you don't even know. I'll see comments like, oh, I bet you don't even know where Uganda is on the map. You know, you don't man, you know, Uganda. And I'm like, but we do.
Yeah.
We completed. You know, I mean, I was born in Uganda.
Yeah, me too.
But I came to the UK when I was 2.
Okay.
You know, so I came as literally a baby. And I've been here my entire life. I'd never gone back to. I went back to Uganda when I was in my 20s for the first time. I never studied there, but I learned the language. I learned the culture, and I'm like, I wanted to redefine what it means to be a Ugandan diaspora.
Mujevale. My name is Bane Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Ball Talk Show.
I gotta be honest, when you sent me the request on Instagram, I was like, so I know your show, like 256 podcast, yours like 3 hosts, 3 with other people, and I wasn't sure who I was communicating with, so I wasn't sure who I was expecting, but I knew. I guess I was like, maybe it's a him because I follow your podcast and I listen to all of you guys, but I had part of me because I didn't know who runs the social media, but I'm excited to have you, man.
Thank you very much for having us. Funny enough, you're not the first person. I think pretty much anyone we communicate with via the socials has no idea who they're communicating with. Like I remember recently we interviewed a girl called Ashanti Kazera, and up until she got to the studio, she had no idea who she was talking to. In fact, she said she guessed and thought she was talking to Jibs, when in reality the whole time she was talking to me. And then there was another one, Brenda, who thought she was talking to me when in reality she was talking to Jibs. So yeah, it's you're not the first person, but it was me. Jibs actually had an accident. He dislocated his knee yesterday.
Oh no! Huh?
Yeah, he was playing football. He was playing football. He thought he was Pogba.
Is he the Arsenal fan?
He's the Arsenal fan. He's the gooner.
Every time I'm watching, he's the one wearing the Arsenal jersey, and
he's the one. He's the one. So you know, he got hurt yesterday, and he's gonna get hurt today again. Because of
No, I think we're gonna win today. It might not help at all, but I think we're gonna win. How is life over there in
London? Life is good, man. I actually cannot complain. I think we all go through different phases in life, and we go through life really is a roller coaster. Do you understand?
That's true.
Like we go through ups, we go through downs, and you know, there's times when we're in really sticky situations. And in those moments, at times it's hard to think that life can ever get any better. Do you understand? It's like, have you ever had a blocked nose? When you have a blocked nose, you can't even remember the times when your nose was clear. Do you understand? Like it's one of those ones, but we all go through those difficult periods, and I think I had a very difficult start to the year. But right now, I think over the last, I'll say 2 months, I've just been blissful. Like I've been on a real good high, and I'm really, really enjoying life. But I'm not enjoying life because life is ultra amazing. I'm enjoying life because I gained a certain level of contentment towards the blessings that God has put into my life. You understand? And I think a lot of the times we overlook the small blessings. We stress over the things we don't have. We stress over the things we lose. We stress over the things that we're yet to achieve, that we overlook the blessings and the beauty of the life that God's actually given to us at this moment in time. So for me, it was just taking into account what I do have. Do you understand? Attaining contentment and understanding that I'm in a very fortunate position. Do you understand? I'm in a very fortunate position. I have so much wealth without even realizing it. There's never a day where I'm gonna go without eating. There's never a day, like if I need something, I can get. I've got a roof over my head. like life is very, very good. You understand? Like I stress over the big things that I overlook the small blessings and the foundation that God has actually given me to know that I'm actually very, very good. Like I'm very good. So man, life is sweet. I can't complain. You know,
That's
the only thing
good.
that stresses me at this moment in time is
It's
this
my
team.
yeah. But that's good.
That's
That's
it.
good that you talked about in that way. And you know, in our days, like in when you ask somebody, hey, Oliotia, in Uganda, they'll say JND, or like you ask, how are you
And
doing? I'm good. But people do not really, I think it's they just normalize that saying, like you ask somebody, hey, how are you? I'm good. But like the way I asked you the question and you kind of just elaborated that. And that's what sometimes that's what people are looking for, like, hey, and then you just talk through like life, like, you know, because that's what the questions, that's why we ask people, like, how is life? Not just hit you with I'm good and that's it. But like just thinking about and what you just talked about, the contentment, like a lot of people struggle with that. And I mean, we all do. But once you realize, like you said, once you realize the contentment and see all these things that you have that you can be thankful for, and you just worry about the things you can't control, but like the ones you can control, like they shouldn't take your time to worry about. So I think that's a big word when you say contentment, and a lot of people need to learn that, to be content with life.
not 100%. And I think what you said is very key. We live in a world right now where so many words and phrases and responses are just generic and automatic. How are you? I'm good. Even when you're not good. Then
Yeah.
like audio JND. When in reality that's not the case. When in reality life can be very terrible, but we're just programmed in a way where when people ask you how you are, you just have to say okay. Because imagine every time you ask someone how are you and they're not okay, they're like, man, I still belong you. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So it's just an automatic response, an automatic relief. But for me, I think maybe that's why, like that's what I use the podcast for more than anything, is to be real, is to be honest, is to strip down this mask that the world has that makes it seem like everything is perfect and everything is fine, and to know that just because I'm good, and that's the biggest mistake people tend to make, that just because I'm okay, it doesn't mean everything in my life is okay. Man, but it's like acknowledging that that's always going to be there. That's always going to be the case. You're always going to have issues. You're always going to have obstacles. And I realize the higher you climb in life, and the bigger the problems and the bigger the obstacles. There's never a moment in life where you're ever going to be stress-free. You get it, or problem-free or trouble-free. It's always going to be there. It's just about how you respond to it. And the reason why contentment is important, because I'm a man of faith, and contentment is important to me because I never want to be in a position where I'm ungrateful for the blessings that God has given us. God gives us so much, and he blesses us with so many, with small things in our lives, that if we start constantly complaining that I don't have this, I don't have that, and we forget the things that we do have, God, we're showing a level of ungratefulness to the Almighty. And I never ever again in life want to fall into that category. I constantly want to be content and appreciative for what I do have. I've got big dreams, I've got big goals, I want to achieve so much, but the higher I get, just because I'm achieving more, it doesn't mean that I then start to overlook and forget the blessings that I do have. We must always remain humble. We must always remain appreciative to God, because he gives us so much. He gives us so much, and we have to be appreciative. And that's why contentment is important, because a lack of contentment is the biggest thief of joy. I wholeheartedly believe that.
I hosted Pastor Wilson Bugembe on the podcast, and he said, and it was, I'll paraphrase because I don't remember the exact words he said, but he was saying like, it's kind of like, uncontentment is a thief
of joy, something in that lines, like
Mm.
being uncontent or like wanting more. It kills like your joy or something, something like that. But that makes sense when you say like
100%.
that. And originally I was gonna say that it's only you can tell you're a podcaster by the way I was gonna tell you that all the way in the beginning when you said talking about life, because it's you use that to open up to talk, because that's what we do. Like we come here to talk, to have a conversation. And that's why people on podcasts, they're usually open. It's things that you'll never hear anywhere else, but when they come to podcasts, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, like I listen to Kevin Hart, I listen to a lot of different people, and every person on the podcast, they'll open up and talk about life.
Yeah.
Like they talk about anything, like some of the things they might not talk about on the outside, but when they get time to sit down and talk, they open up and share what really is on their heart, and that's when you get to know the real about somebody. So I like that.
No,
So
100%.
mhm.
No, that's what we do it for.
Yeah.
We do it to have conversations and to be open and to be real. And for me, if you're not willing to be real, open, vulnerable, then you've got no business picking up a mic. That's literally how I look at it.
And that's
You have to be honest, because you're speaking to the world. You don't know who's listening.
right.
Do you understand? You never want to
Yeah.
be in a position to portray a false image of yourself through a podcast. Never. People do that on different platforms, but here, because you're expressing yourself as an individual through words. That's what you're doing when you're on podcasts. And if
Right.
you can't be real, then you've got no business being here, because then who are you trying to fool?
I was going to point out actually the one quote that you guys just released on your Instagram. For the listeners on my podcast that I don't know, I have Hakim from 256 podcast. They are based in the UK, and like on their Instagram page, they use 256 podcast, and they just posted a quote from, is it Gypsy? You call him Gypsy? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
I really loved that. Like when he said, like, depend on no one but the Almighty God, no one owes you anything. That really hit hard in my heart, and I commented down below. But that's something I'm talking like. I was just saying, like, just sharing something like that, and to let other people know, like, nobody owes you anything. Like that really hit me and hit home, and I really love that, and I love stuff like that because, like you said, podcast is a place where we bring, like in my podcast, I just want to bring hope to the other people, like especially the kids back in Uganda. And that's why I keep bringing these guys on my podcast to share about their life stories, like people who struggled through life growing up and where they're at right now. And that's what I want. I just want another child in Uganda to listen to this guy. Oh, this guy yatambuzanga ebigere agenda ku ssomero, this guy teyambalanga ngatto naye kati he's here right now. I can do the same thing, like I'm able to do that. And that's why when I bring these people, they're vulnerable, and they open up and they share like their stories.
100%. And I loved when Jibs said what he said. The full clip of that, it was in reference to his birthday celebration. Okay. And we'd been celebrating his 30th birthday, and he was talking about just how intimate the event was and how appreciative he was for every single person who was there, who took the time out to turn up, because no one owes you anything. No one owes you their time. No one owes you their space. No one owes you nothing in this life. So when someone does go out of their way to turn up for you and be there for you, you have to appreciate it. Yeah. And I think one of the things that kills a lot of friendships and relationships, and especially when it comes to families and close loved ones, is that we tend to expect things from others, never expect anything from anyone. Appreciate what you do get 100%, and then don't overthink what you don't get. If a friend doesn't turn up to your birthday, you don't know why they didn't do so. You go, I mean, if you're in a difficult position and you seek help and the person's unable to help you, you don't know what that person's going through. But at the end of the day, that person doesn't owe you anything. The only person that you should ever turn to and depend to is the person who is the cause of your existence to begin with, and that's God.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. he put you here, and I think I don't want to get too deep, but I think at times we forget God, and to understand that he put us here and he is the one who provides for us one way or another. And anything you want, anything you need, just ask, just pray and understand that one way or another God will get you through everything that you need. So we need to stop not just depending on others, but just expecting things from others, because that's unfair. You know, and when Jib said that, it actually impacted me, because I'd never looked at life that way. But I was like, that's so true.
Yeah.
Not a soul walking the face of this earth owes you anything.
That's the same way, like when I saw the clip, I was like, yeah, I mean, I might have had the same word somewhere, but like not think about it the same way I did when I had him say that. And that's the reason why I love podcasts, and I love you guys' podcasts, because every time you're on there, no matter the guest you have, it's just you're talking about like deep stuff, like somebody thinks about something and it impacts their lives. And on the same line, we're talking about your guys' podcast. I wanted to ask you, so how did you guys come up with the idea to start this podcast, and how long have you been doing it?
Wow, interesting question. I've been involved in radio for a long time. So I was trained by the BBC World Service and the Open
No
University.
wonder you can answer questions like like a radio presenter.
So I was actually trained in the art of presenting and interviewing. So how to ask questions, how to pick apart different guests and so on and so forth. So I was trained by the BBC World Service and the Open University, and that went on for a few years, was doing that. And then I was just kind of freelancing with the BBC for a while. And then I moved to TGM Radio, which we're actually at right now. But it was a friend of mine, Torres, who had a show called, it was the Red Cup Drive Show. And he invited me on one day just to talk. He just wanted to have a conversation. So he invites me on, I go on, and we started talking. And he was like, you know what, why don't we do a show together? You know, here, and mine is all about music and glamour, but we can do a show where we're just keeping it real. So we called it Real Talk on TGM. This is we're probably going back about 5 years now, 5-6 years. And we started, and Real Talk, it was streamed live on Facebook. And I remember at the beginning when we started, we had like 2-3 views, live listeners at the time. And slowly but surely it just started to grow. It was every week on a Thursday. It just started to grow, and we will get different guests coming on to the point where at one point we had like 5,000-7,000 listeners, on at a time when we were able to get on Bobby Wine. Do you remember when they had that huge Parliament beef?
Yeah, where they fought in the Parliament.
Yeah, exactly. Parliament. So we right after that we had Bobby Wine on, and we spoke to Eliasu Kwago. So we had Real Talk, and it was going on, but obviously it was streamed live. It wasn't a podcast, it was just like a live stream on Facebook. And then life then happens, and then that had to stop for a minute. And then after that, I joined another podcast called Say It With Your Chest with a few brothers over here in the UK. But then it wasn't Ugandan central. Do you get it? It was just about Western life and Western culture and different topics. And I loved it and enjoyed it. I'm from the UK. So it wasn't like it was alien to me, but I felt like there was something missing in the content in terms that I just wanted to really have a Ugandan diaspora platform. So Jibs had his own show. It was called Behind Closed Doors. And then Linda, she's gonna kill me. Linda also had her own podcast, but I can't remember what the name of it was. But we started off with another female friend of ours called Kazinga and Torres, and we started in my front room. We just did it, got the cameras, got everything. We started in our front room. This was in 2019. And we just shot, and the first episode was just about what it was like, the experience of growing up being Ugandan in the UK. And then it got amazing response. People absolutely loved it. So then we did another one, which was about intermarriages. What do you feel about marrying different cultures, different tribes, different faiths? Did it as Ugandan. So we started to pick apart different topics that people kind of enjoyed, and we went silent for a while. But then we relaunched again in September of last year. And yeah, and we came back and we changed hosts. We brought Linda in, we brought in Linda. Torres fell out, but he's in the back. He's like kind of our content creator. He comes up with a lot of our ideas.
Yeah.
You know, we run a lot of ideas past him as well, because, you know, he decided to take a back seat. And yeah, we relaunched in September, and we were with TGM, and we've been going consistently since then. But yeah, it was just the main thing was about having a platform in which we can project the Ugandan diaspora from the point of view of the UK.
Right.
Point of view of London. Give us a you know, because we see things on Twitter and on social media and on Facebook, and you hear what people back home think of people in the diaspora. You know, Rachitawa Sama, they think we don't love our country. They think this, you know. So in my mind, I was like, but that's not true.
Yeah.
You know, people like, oh, you don't even know. I'll see comments like, oh, I bet you don't even know where Uganda is on the map. You know, you don't Uganda. And I'm like, but we do.
Yeah.
We completely, you know, I mean, I was born in Uganda.
Yeah, me too.
But I came to the UK when I was 2.
Okay.
You know, so I came as literally a baby. And I've been here my entire life. I'd never gone back to, I went back to Uganda when I was in my 20s for the first time. I never studied there, but I learned the language, I learned the culture. And I'm like, I wanted to try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Try to redefine what it means to be a Ugandan diaspora. That was the main point of the podcast, redefine and to showcase and highlight the amazing stuff that Ugandans and diaspora are actually doing. You know, and to let people know that we're just like you back home, you know. And a lot of the people that come on, they'll talk about being sent back and studied in Uganda, and it gives a different dynamic to let our brothers and sisters back home know that we're not that different to you.
All right.
We may have been raised in the UK or in the West. So we spoke to Melissa in Germany, you know, and it was like, we may be from Europe and from the West or from the States, but we're still very much similar to you. You know, and to redefine the idea that, you know, yes, we may be here, but we also go through our struggles. We may not have to walk, you know, miles to get school, you know, to school or fetch water in certain places. We may not go through some of the struggles that, you know, let's say our parents talk about that they went through, but we still go through struggles in a Western way. You understand? And that's kind of what the podcast is about, to redefine the idea of what it means to be a Ugandan diasporan.
That makes a lot of sense. And from the perspective of what you're explaining about, I really understand and I can relate. There's a lot of people back home who look at us different. But like you were mentioning, when you guys restarted again in September, I think that's when I learned about the podcast. And it's pretty cool. Like the way you picked the name of your podcast too, like you named it 256, which is symbolizing Uganda, and that shows the love of Uganda. Like even when I was naming my podcast, it's called the Ugandan Boy Talk Show, because I'm proud to be Ugandan. I was born in Uganda. I might live in the US right now, but yeah, I'm proud, and I want to bring these stories to uplift my country and to extend the love. And I gotta say, like, you guys' content is really good. I've listened to most of you guys' episodes, and I really love it. You mentioned Melissa, and then you had APAS on the podcast too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what an amazing! APAS is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell me about the experience of having him on the podcast. I know he's a funny guy.
he's absolutely hilarious. So APAS is a really good friend of Torres. So Torres, obviously, as I said, he's behind the scenes, and you know, he helps us with a lot of content creating and ideas and so on and so forth. So he was in Uganda at the time, and he was like, let's get on APAS, have a conversation with him, you know. And it was about speaking to him about if you've seen the interview, it was all about at the beginning what it was like being in Uganda as an artist during the pandemic, how it impacted the music industry, so on and so forth. So he came on. I had never interacted with APAS. None of us. Jibs didn't even know his music like that, you know. And it was amazing speaking to him, because he was so open, he was so down to earth, he was so real. He didn't hold anything back. And for me, I don't want to get in trouble with any of our other guests, but that interview stands out, not just because of his status, because it's APAS. It's easy to say, oh, I love the APAS interview because it's APAS, but no, it's because of how real he was, how straightforward he was. Like, you know, any question that was asked, he didn't hold back. We've had guests at times like we've asked certain questions, and guests will tell us, you know, I don't want to speak about this, or I don't want to touch on this, and you know, but APAS was like access all areas, whatever you wanted, and he was honest and he was open, and he's so intelligent, and he was just dropping jewels on us constantly, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I for me personally, that interview stands out big time. There's obviously other interviews that I absolutely loved, but that one stood out because of just how open and real he got with us, you know, and he didn't hold anything back. And the knowledge, this guy is just incredibly intelligent. You know, as funny as he is and as childish as he can come across, he's incredibly intelligent. And that's you know when you just speak to someone and you're just soaking in, and he's actually opening up your mind to so many different things. So the APAS interview was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I would say it was really good. And I like you already said everything I was gonna say about APAS, but he's a freestyle guy. Like you get whatever you get out of him. Like he's gonna come straightforward, won't hide anything. But so yeah, to me, I think that was one of my favorite episodes too. On you guys, I mean, like you said, not to put down any other guests that you guys have had. All of them have been fun. But yeah, there's some guests that you have that you feel really comfortable. Like I would say the same thing on my podcast. I hosted this guy, Joe. He's in the States, but he grew up in a refugee camp in Hoima, and then he moved to the States, but now he started an organization called My Homestars, and he designed a game that helps kids to learn, you know, where we grew up in Uganda, where the teacher comes and just pounds everything in your head. You're going to learn this. But like he created a game where kids can play the game in class, but it's a game and it's teaching them like to learn stuff. So he designed that. So, but when I was having a conversation with him, it was flowing and it felt good. I mean, I've had a lot of guests that I really enjoyed on the podcast, but that one felt good in a special way. So there are some that will stand out, and no offense to anybody else who's on the podcast. It just happens. But
and as a podcaster yourself, you know that the best interviews or the easiest interviews are the ones where the guest is open.
Yeah.
You never want to feel like you're pulling something out of someone or forcing things, and you know, you don't want to ever find yourself in an awkward situation where someone, you ask someone a question and they don't answer it.
Exactly.
Like those things are frustrating, because it's like in the end it's like, how do you respond? So when you get guests who are just, even if like whatever is on the first thing that comes to their mind, will get at. You know, that was APAS. We asked him about his opinions on Chameleon, and he didn't hold back. You know, we asked him about his opinion on other artists. He didn't hold back. He just said it as it was. You know, and you know, other people might be hesitant. Some people might not want to get into their personal life. Some people might not want to offend other people who are listeners, so they hold certain things back. But yeah, that was amazing, and it's always good when you get a guest like that.
I was gonna ask you a question. Who was behind that post that you guys shared the other day about praying for the Arsenal fans?
I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea who could have been behind that post.
For those of you who are just listening on Spotify, he's holding up a cup that has Manchester United. So you can tell who was behind that post.
Yeah, no, that was definitely that was me. Yeah. And I just had to. I just love seeing Arsenal. I'm a Zinedine fan.
Everybody likes when Arsenal loses, and my dad was the same way growing up. My dad never followed football or anything, but whenever Arsenal lost, that's what he wanted. Like he just wanted me sad. Like any team that beats Arsenal, that's his team for the day.
But that's because of the fans. I think Arsenal fans, the way you react to loss is the most amazing. It really is like you lot have a meltdown. You go crazy, you know, and Tomo Kirizanti Baba Kubi. Like you see, for example, me, I'm a United fan, but I'm like, you know what? Our season is finished. Oh, you dig it? We've been terrible this season. You know, it is what it is. It's been terrible. It's finished. Like you lot just don't accept. Like, and it's just the way you react. It's just Arsenal tears are just amazing. And I think it's because of the fact that I believe Arsenal fans have this delusion in their heads that you're the biggest club in the world. I think you genuinely believe that. I think Arsenal fans genuinely believe they're the biggest club in the world. You know, as Man United, if we stood up and we said we're the biggest club in the world, very few people can argue with that because of our history and our achievements and our fan base. We've got the biggest fan base in the world. We've got, you know, we're global team where everywhere the numbers, the revenues, the success, the trophies, everything we've done, we can arguably say we're the biggest club in the world. In fact, we're actually one of the biggest sporting franchises in the world. So when we see Arsenal fans acting as though you lot are the biggest, it's like,
What I like about Arsenal fan is Togeranyo. I know that about ourselves. Like every gamble, like we never back down. We talk a lot. We do talk a lot.
So that's why when you lot lose, it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Okay, and the other thing is I gotta acknowledge your T-shirt, Tuliwa Whale. That's been a saying. The guy I hosted the guy who sang that song, Booker Chimi, on the podcast, but that was way before he released Tuliwa Whale. I hosted him when he just had that song Economy Tojiraba. I like that guy's songs because he sings about like events that are happening, like real events that are going on. And so what does that how did you get to Tuliwa Whale and the T-shirt on that?
Oh, so this is this is our sponsor, our podcast sponsors, Nala.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
I saw that on the podcast.
Yeah, so they're our sponsors. We've partnered up with them. Their money transferring app. They've just launched in the US as well.
Okay.
About a few weeks ago they launched in the US. And yeah, so they sponsor us. This one. I've got three of them. So there's Tuliwa Weru, there's the Tochisusa, and there's Send Some Kamani. So yeah. So you'll see us rotating different T-shirts and vests and things like that. Yeah. So
I've been seeing those funny quotes T-shirts happening in Uganda, like everywhere. Everybody's sending me some Kamani, something. I don't know. There's a lot of funny ones, but yeah. So how did you guys land that sponsorship with Nala? Or Nala?
They reached out.
Yeah.
They reached out. Yeah. They reached out. And yeah, they reached out. We negotiated a contract. And for me, what it was about Nala above others, because there was another competitor who also approached. But why Nala is because I'm not in the habit of promoting something I don't believe in or I would never.
That's true. That's the same way.
I'm never gonna do that. And when you look at Nala, they really do offer. And this is me speaking as Hakim now, not as a representative of Nala. As Hakim. Nala does offer the best rates. That's number one. You know, it's East African owned. It's the only East African owned platform out there at this moment in time. They offer the ability to be able to transfer money directly into your bank account. So in normal situations where you're only sending to mobile money accounts, mobile money has a limit of how much money you can put on a particular account. Whereas with Nala, you can send directly into a bank account, and then the limit is even bigger. So when we're going to Uganda and you know you're going and you need to save money, instead of saving money here where you're going to touch the money and potentially use it or whatnot, or trust the person, someone else with money, or if you have your bank account, you can put the money there, Nozisanga too. So if you're a lot of our parents, a lot of us, a lot of different people, you know, Bazimba, they do projects back home. So the ability to send money directly from your bank account here in the UK or in the US or in Europe directly into another bank account in you know, in Uganda, that for me, I find it absolutely amazing. The app is fantastic. Blue is one of my favorite colors, so I love that. The customer service is on point, and I just believe in the and it's their community approach where for them, it's more than just being a money transferring app. They actually want to build African institutions. So they want to work with different communities. They put on different events where, you know, whether it comes down to mental health, whether it comes down to different issues, they want to be at the forefront of dealing with those issues within our communities. So I genuinely believe in what Nala does. So that's why I chose them.
If anybody from Nala listens to this episode, Bakusasure, Kwango, isi zao ezakarango.
No, and for me, that was it. For me, that was the defining factor. It was like, even if I was to join a different platform, even if we were to, because there's different competitors. Even if a different competitor was to sponsor us, you give me the bag. Oh, I'm gonna eat the bag.
Yeah,
and I will promote you because that's what you're paying me to do. But when I need to send money home, I will be using Nala. For the one simple rate that Nala has better rates.
Yeah,
you know, and that's it. And I want to send more. I want my people to get the most out of my pennies. You know, so in the end, I'll promote you, but just know that behind closed doors, I'll be using Nala. So that's why I chose Nala, because I never want to, again, it's about being real, you know, and I never want to deceive people. And again, I'm a man of faith, and I know that God's constantly watching what you're doing. He's constantly aware. So he knows that I'm telling people, this is the best app, but I'm not even using it. How will I then be able to look, you know, stand in front of God on that day? You know, you have to be real and honest with yourself. So it was Nala all the way.
That says a lot, because in this world today, again, people will do anything to make money. They will do anything. People will lie to you, so because they're getting money from it. Like, he will literally like come to you and lie. Oh yeah, this is because he knows he's gonna get paid. But you said something that's really, really good. Like, it starts within you to tell another person to use something that you yourself are using. You can't force somebody to do something that you're not using yourself.
Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode about my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.